Hey, this is Demitri. I'm with the Demitri team. And what I want to talk to you about today is about pricing your house. A lot of people have very strong feelings about what their house is worth, how to price it, what should I be able to get. They get upset. All sort of emotions happen. So let's talk about how we would take a look, not only you taking a look at pricing your house, meaning how we're going to bring that information to you as well, but also you got to put yourself in the shoes of the buyer. What is the buyer looking at that is going to determine their price that they're going to bring you an offer, and truly, what is a house worth? So I'm going to answer all those questions for you here in this video. So let's start with the very first thing, being that the very first thing that happens is a buyer is going to go to Zillow. All right, and they're going to put your address in. They're going to go to Zillow, they're going to put your address in, they're going to say, what is the house worth? And Zillow is going to come back with a number, their Zestimate, right? Buyers have a hard time. They believe Zillow is the absolute authority, be all. You know, they know everything. They're big brother when it comes to selling homes. Now, at least 75%, if not more, Zillow is wrong. They have no way of knowing. This is all an algorithm. They don't know whether your house was updated, whether you now have an enclosed porch versus a screened-in porch. They don't know whether you have a complete awning and screen enclosure over your pool or not. So there's a lot of things that they don't know. They don't know whether you have a Sub-Zero refrigerator or an Amana refrigerator. So there's many things that there's just no way to tell, right? So how do we do that, and what's the next psychology? All right, the next piece obviously is then looking at and realize this is what is my house worth. Now let's go to the next piece, which would be what can I sell my house for? Well, selling your house for starts with obviously what is Zillow going to say, but more importantly, what's available in the market. Meaning that if you wanted and you saw this in our market, right? There was a limited supply. We had thousands of buyers and only, sometimes not even 100 homes for them, and people went crazy because it was limited availability. They were in desperation mode and they were grossly overpaying what the house was worth. And a lot of that now is affecting Zillow and what they're doing, because they're looking at all those numbers from the sales comps and all. So how would somebody today decide what something is worth? Well, they're going to go because they're going to say, well, hey, I want to see this house. Their realtor is going to take them around and show them, hey, there's 5 houses like this in the area or the neighborhood. And they're going to say, these are what these houses are being sold for. So in our case, there happens to be 3 houses like the one that I just showed you that are in the area, 2 of them in the exact same neighborhood, one in a nearby neighborhood. They all have 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. They are all within that 14 to 1600 square foot range. And the house that I showed you, actually, let me go back to that just for a second because you might not have caught it. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1480 square feet. Okay, so now we've got a home here. These are both 14. They're right in the same square footage. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. This one here is a little bit bigger square footage, 1600, right? So if we look, we got a 485 and a 645. So these 2 are in the exact same neighborhood. They're both on the market. Somebody's asking for it. You got one at 485, one at 645. What a huge difference in pricing and what is available, right? How do you decide where to go? Well, much of that has to do with the marketing, with the conversation that we have as an agent, the materials that we provide, the documentation that we provide that can show value and reasoning. So in this case, I want to show you that the first one, the 485 one, well, it had a Zestimate of 479. They went over Zestimate. It is an original house. This is pretty much an original kitchen that is in here, just kind of showing you that. It's smaller. The way this kitchen, the way the layout, the floor plan of this particular house, and I went through all the pictures. This particular house is absolutely original. This house, however, has been totally updated. Not only has it been totally updated, the outside patio area has actually been completely enclosed. It has it is screened, but it has a roof over it, has complete screen around it, so it gives you a beautiful outdoor living area that this house doesn't have. So easily somebody spent $100,000 in updating this house, between the flooring, the kitchen, out, doing the roof, extending that roof, doing this outdoor patio area, all of that stuff. So easily they spent a lot of money. Automatically, somebody walking in would look at this and say, oh, okay, that's okay house, and they're going to come to this one and go, well, that's a fabulous house. The question is going to be, are they willing to pay, what is that, about $160,000, maybe $170,000 more for this house than they are for this house, right? So, and a lot of people, if I was them, I would say, no, I'm going to buy this house. And why? Because I figure that at some point, one, I may not need all this, but the other is, some of these updates that they've got, I probably would just do myself, and or hire somebody, meaning I may physically do it, or I may just hire somebody to do it, and I'm probably not going to spend the $160,000 difference in getting those things done. People got to equate that, right? They're still going to come back into what is the Zestimate. They're going to come back to that. Zestimates matter because that's kind of where they start. The reality of what comes down is two things. What's available in the neighborhood, meaning if they don't buy your house, if you can't come to an agreement, what other house can they buy? And then the second piece is what you're able to agree on. In other words, can you price based on terms? Is there something that buyer needs that they can't get somewhere else, and they're willing to work with you? Now, here's the last thing I'm going to tell you about pricing on a house. A house, no matter what you have it listed for, no matter what that is, a house is only worth what somebody is willing to pay today. That doesn't mean somebody won't pay more tomorrow, but whoever's willing to pay something today, that sets the value. It's kind of like going to a flea market. You go to the flea market and the guy's got let's say he's got an old painting sitting there. You love it. You're like, man, I really like that painting. He's got it marked for $50. You go, man, I don't want to pay $50. And so you sit there and you haggle with him, and you say, look, I'll give you 30. He says, tell you what, I'll take 40. You go, look, how about we meet in the middle? Let's do 35. He says, okay, great. You just walked away with that painting at $35. You haggled it down. You brought it down. Now, what's that painting worth? Well, you bring it home. You found out that, man, this is an original painting from an artist, and if you were to sell it in a gallery, it would be worth $150,000, right? Because you would have taken it to the gallery, it would have been appraised, they would have looked at it, they might have even offered you $100,000 to buy it from you. But at the moment in time that it was purchased, it was worth the $35 because that's what the buyer and the seller agreed on. I think a lot of people get lost in the fact of going, well, my house is absolutely worth this, I have to get this. No, it's worth what you and the buyer can agree on, and what you need to look at is what works for you, and have a little bit of flexibility. I'd say negotiation, but let's just call it flexibility in getting there if you want to get your house sold. That's an important piece. Cannot just say it has to be this hard number. You got to truly look at what works for you to be able to sell this, what's your bottom line to get it done. All right, let's look at the last thing, and that is where's pricing going. So, our market has really gone crazy. We had certainly a huge number of homes that just, like I mentioned earlier, just went up in what people were willing to pay, way over where they should have been. We had that once before, back here in the 06 time frame. That's what this is, home prices annually from 1991 to now. You saw that went up in 06. We had that 08 drop. You see prices went down in houses. Well, we're back at that same point. We are most likely going to repeat history-wise, because everything that happens in this world is a repeat of history. We're going to repeat this, maybe not in the degree, but certainly very much. I'm sure the graphs, when we look 10 years from now, the graph is going to look very much like this. Might be slightly higher, slightly lower, but it's going to look a lot like this when we look at this down the road. So you need to keep that in mind. And the reason I bring that up is that whatever I can sell your house for today, I probably cannot sell it for that same amount 6 months to a year from now, 2 years from now. It's going to be worth less money. So if there is a compelling reason that you need to sell your house, and it may not be a compelling reason today, but let's assume that in 3 years from now you're going to retire and you want to move somewhere. Today's the day to sell your house. Get the most equity out of it that you can, because when you are ready 3 years from now, most likely the price of the house is going to be 50, 60, 80, maybe even $100,000 less than where it is today. So that's what I bring to you. All right, let's recap a little bit. Buyers have a hard time paying more than the Zestimate. So I told you that. You realize that. That's kind of a piece. That doesn't mean it's accurate or right. It just means that's kind of where they start at, right? It does require solid marketing to get your house sold. We've got to put together all the facts and reasons, comparisons, all that stuff. So if we want more money than the competition, we want more money than what the Zestimate is, we have to demonstrate why it's worth more and get that conveyed, so then when we get to that point of getting an offer, that we can then show that it's worth that value. Now, we're not going to go way overboard. I'm going to tell you, buyers are not today going to pay way overboard. But if I can show somebody that your house is worth this, and if they bought the other house and tried to make it like yours, like going to a contractor and get it, they're going to spend $100,000, whereas your house is only 70 grand more. They're actually saving money by buying it already done. So that's the sort of stuff we bring to. We have to be able to know the market. Like I said, in the marketing, demonstrate we definitely know the market, and that we're able to convey that and convince a buyer so that they see that the price that we have on the house is a value. And then we have to worry about negotiating terms. There are many things that just aren't what I would say the norm. And I'm going to give you an example. There is a buyer they've got 10 grand. They're 5 grand short of what they need truly for the down payment on the house, so they can move forward and get it done. They got the income, they got the credit, they got all the stuff. They just don't have the money. Well, those are things we can work out in negotiation terms, so that you get your house sold, they are able to buy your house, everybody walks away happy. But it also takes, from our standpoint, the ability to realize we need to have a great conversation with them to find out what is preventing them from moving forward and being on this, so that we can make your part work and their part work, and we all walk away happy. All right, well, I'm Demitri with the Demitri team. I hope to hear from you soon. We'd love to get your house sold if this is the time. You got our phone number, email. You can scan the QR code and get to our website. Looking forward to talking to you soon.